When studying style, you are closely considering an author's language. Determine things like, is the text formal or informal, abstract or concrete, elevated or colloquial, complicated or simple, denotative or connotative, pathos heavy, logos heavy, or ethos heavy. Your task is then to determine why the author chose such a style. I'm going to walk you through an analysis of Rifkin's A Change of Heart About Animals that you read earlier in this unit. Then you will complete the same steps while you analyze Brathwaite's Hooked on a Myth. Alright, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is determine what is the author's purpose. So this is basically the thesis. What is the message? What is the major claim that the author is making? And in the case of A Change of Heart About Animals, the author's purpose is to convince the readers that animals are similar to humans so that we will change the way that we treat animals. Alright, then our next step is to look at the text and determine some sections that we want to point out where the author uses a specific diction word choice that creates select portions of the text that you want to point out how the author uses a certain stylistic device, particularly related to diction in the examples that I'm showing you, of how they're trying to convince you or persuade you by using these devices. So the first one is going to be looking at the diction of this sentence here. Studies on pigs' social behavior funded by McDonald's at Purdue University, for example, have found that they crave affection and are easily depressed if isolated or denied playtime with each other. So you see the words in bold are the words that I want to focus on. So basically what we have here is, even though this is a scientifically based article and that he mentions many research elements, he does also use a lot of sort of loaded language because he wants us to make the connection that animals are very much like humans. So he's using these human emotions that we can relate to in order to convince us that animals are like humans. So the craving affection like we do, the ability to get depressed and experience that emotion, needing playtime like we think about, well, maybe even with children needing play. So we start to associate them with those things that are near and dear to us so that we will treat them better. Alright, and the next piece that I pulled out for examination of style is this portion here. An orangutan named Chantek, who lives at the Atlanta Zoo, used a mirror to groom his teeth and adjust his sunglasses. So the fact that Rifkin is pulling out this detail of the orangutan adjusting his sunglasses, something that's like a human device, something that we know how to use, we think of us wearing them. So when we associate the orangutan with the sunglasses, then this serves to humanize him. Sometimes what is not there is just as important as what is there. Did you notice that every time except once that he mentions researchers or scientists, Rifkin just calls them that, just researchers or scientists, with the exception of the civi scientists? When he is talking about the animals, though, he uses names. The stylistic choice Rifkin makes to include the animals' names is another subtle attempt to humanize them. So you'll notice that I have taken all of these things that I've talked through with you and I've put them here, summarized them into this chart for you to have as a reference and example of how to do this. So I basically just summarized here everything that I've said and I've put it in the chart for you to have as an example. So now you have here on the left the part of the text that you're going to focus on that shows the stylistic device. And on the right, you're explaining what is his purpose in using that device. How does it further persuade you to believe whatever it is that he's trying to convince you or she. So now you will come down here and you are going to do the same thing with Hooked on a Myth. So this document will be in the slides for you to complete and turn in at your teacher's request.